Well, that was certainly a game. That was one of the games of all time that I have ever witnessed as a Chargers fan, that's for sure. The Raiders just completely blew us out, man. 63. That is the most points that the Raiders have ever scored in a football game. 63 points. And the Raiders, like, remember when they were really good and, like, I don't even, before I was born? In, like, the 80s, the 90s, the reason why Ice Cube and all these rappers are fans of the Raiders back in that era, they did not even score this amount of points. I I cannot believe how bad this game was. This was the worst game that I have ever witnessed as a Chargers fan. And man, if you're here in this Bleacher Report live stream, you're a real one for that. I'll tell you that for sure because I'm in pain. I'm in absolute pain and agony from this game. All right. Just really quickly, we're going to look at these stats. Let me get that off the screen. Look at these freaking stats. It is disgusting. Easton Stick, 23 for 32, 257 yards. 3 touchdowns in this game and only 1 interception. I mean, you can look at this stat line, just look at this alone and not look at anything else, and you say, okay, that's not that bad. But this rushing offense, not great either. I wasn't too impressed with Austin Eckler. As you can see, 5 attempts for only 9 yards, 1.8 average. And we kept running the ball. Joshua Kelly, he looked fine, but he had that fumble in this game. Isaiah Spiller was really the only running back on this team that I looked at and I said, okay, you know what? I would keep this guy on the roster next year. I mean, everybody on this team was playing as if they didn't want to be on the field. And a lot of that has to do with Brandon Staley, the head coach. Just they don't believe in him anymore. And especially now that Justin Herbert is not playing for this team, they don't see a reason to go out there and actually perform and play up to the level that they actually can. And I'm not saying that these guys are some sort of elite talent or anything like that. A lot of these guys aren't elite talent. Like, I don't think Isaiah Spiller is ever going to be a top tier running back like Austin Eckler once was, but he's not. I mean, all of these guys, really, you can tell they're not playing up to their potential because they're not passionate about going out there and playing for Brandon Staley and playing for these guys. I mean, maybe they played for Justin Herbert when he was out there, and now you take him off, and now we're seeing what it looks like when you only play for Brandon Staley. The receiver that I'm going to shout out, man, I can't even believe I'm shouting somebody out because they played well in this game. Joshua Palmer, bro. 2 claps for Josh Palmer. Because he actually caught every single target that he had in this game. 4 for 4, 113 yards. A lot of that is inflated, if I'm going to be honest with you, from that 79-yard catch that he had for a touchdown. But hey, you know, that was that little sliver of just me bolting up just a little bit on that one play right there. It made me bolt up a tiny bit in this awful, terrible, no good, yuck kind of game. Gerald Everett, man, he had 8 targets. They were feeding this dude like he was Quentin Johnston. They fed him like how I want them to actually feed Quentin Johnston. 8 targets, 5 catches for 41 yards. I can't even be mad at Gerald Everett because I kind of feel like he did the most with what he had. He stiff-armed some dude into oblivion. I think it was Amik Robertson. But outside of that, like, I mean, what is he going to do? The offensive line wasn't good. Austin Eckler had that one catch. I think it was a 12-yard catch that he had, and that was his best play of the game, and he got a first down on it. Quentin Johnston caught a touchdown. That's nice to see. But again, 3 targets. Why are we not targeting Quentin Johnston more in this game when he's a rookie first-round wide receiver? It's obviously a blowout. I mean, we were losing 42 to freaking nothing at halftime, and you only give this man 3 targets? Can we see what we have in Quentin Johnston? I mean, I feel like a lot of Chargers fans think they already got Quentin Johnston figured out and he's not going to be a great guy, and they wish they drafted even somebody like Michael Mayer. You look on the other side, the Raiders drafted Michael Mayer, who caught a touchdown in this game as well and actually had a little bit of a breakout game. He played pretty well. I'm just going to look at his stats really quickly here, actually. Where is Michael Mayer? 5 targets for 4 catches and 39 yards. 9.8 average on that one. Let's see what Quentin Johnston had. 11.5. So we beat him in average yards gained. He had a touchdown. Michael Mayer also had a touchdown. But the Chargers have a need at tight end, a big hole at tight end. And they have Quentin Johnston. Joshua Palmer is playing well as well. And you know what? If Keenan Allen was in this game, I don't even really think this would have been very different. I don't. Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnson, and Keenan Allen out there. That's a pretty good trio that I'd be fine going into next year with. But that's about it, man. Hey, shout out to Cameron Dicker. He did not miss any kicks. That's one thing that I can actually appreciate from this game is we didn't have any kicker special teams errors, but we did have a special teams error with Darius Davis, man, having that fumble. And then there was another punt return where he just started running backwards. And it reminded me of the Travis Benjamin days where he ran backwards. I think it was the Raiders game, or not the Raiders, the Ravens game, where he ran backwards and that awful punt return, and he ended up fumbling the ball. Oh my gosh, I'm getting bad memories now. I mean, this right here, I'm living in a bad memory. I feel like my brain is fried, bro. I really do, because I watched every single play. Do you know what that does to a man? Watching every single play of a game where your team loses 63-21? It'll make you reconsider things. Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm going to be a Chargers fan until the day that I leave this freaking planet, but this was rough. This tested me for sure. Eric Kendricks had that one sack that Kenneth Murray kind of looped around towards that left guard, pushed him out of the play. It was like a stunt move. It was a nice play. I'm picking apart little good things here and there. Michael Davis and Derwin James were so disappointing in this game. Michael Davis let up over 100 yards and I think 1 or 2 touchdowns in just the first half. In the first half alone, he let up over 100 yards and a tutty. Derwin James also let up that touchdown to freaking Trey. What was his name? Was it Trey Tucker? Trey Tucker, the rookie. Oh my gosh. It was just an abysmal game. Had 21 points. Most of that was in garbage time. And look, the second half scoring, we actually scored 21 points in the second half. Here we are right here. Most of it was in garbage time in the 14 points of the fourth quarter. But you look at this game, you look at this team. Earlier in the year, what were we all complaining about? The offense could not score in the second half, and the defense was obviously so bad. In this game, we saw the defense was bad, so that remains consistent. But we scored our only points in the second half in this game, and we didn't do anything in the first half. A lot of this has to do with Justin Herbert not being out on the field, and I don't want to hear any more from these Dolphins fans that are saying Justin Herbert has a good team around him. He has elite talent around him, but he still cannot do anything. He can't go out and win a football game. The Raiders are not even a very good team. I will shout out the Raiders. I will say, look, they played well. They clearly wanted to win this game way more than the Chargers did. But the Raiders have a rookie quarterback, Aidan O'Connell. They got shut out last week against the Vikings. And they have an interim head coach, Antonio Pierce. This is not a great football team. And the Chargers lost. They were down 42-0 at the half, and you lose by 42 points at the end of this game. How do you look at this team and say that they are still talented and they still have this elite talent? Khalil Mack was out there for a lot of this game. Joey Bosa wasn't playing. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams weren't out there. Would that have made a big difference in this game? I mean, be honest. Would that have made a big difference in this game? Because I don't think it would have. We have seen this offense perform without Mike Williams throughout the season. We've been able to put up points at times. But without Keenan Allen, it has been rough. And this is the first time that we have seen this team without Justin Herbert. And it looked bad. It looked bad. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Justin Herbert is so good that this Chargers team performs like this without him. That was how bad it was. Someone in the chat, John Gruden for head coach. Listen, or John Gruden for head coach. In my head, I just thought of Jim Harbaugh. But John Gruden, okay, oh my gosh. No. I would not want John Gruden as head coach because of what he did to the Raiders with Mike Mayock as the general manager. That whole regime was it was so bad for the Raiders. And I wouldn't give him a second chance after that one. I'm going to be honest with you. Where did you get that hoodie? Bro, Chargers team store. You know what? That's one thing we can take away from this game is that the hoodie that I'm wearing is actually kind of fly. I think this was pretty expensive though. This was like $85. So I had to consider, but it's drip. It looks good. JK, brother. Okay, thank God you're joking about John Gruden. But what we can't talk about is Jim Harbaugh. A lot of guys want Jim Harbaugh to be the head coach. He looked really good as the 49ers head coach for a while, but listen, like the league is different now. The league is a lot different. And I don't know if he can come in and turn this team around the way that we want him to. You look at who you want as head coach. I remember the broadcast crew was talking about having Bill Belichick coming in and be the head coach. Like, I don't know about that one either. But let's stick with Jim Harbaugh for right now. You look at Jim Harbaugh and what he's done at Michigan. I'm not that impressed with what he's done at Michigan. He has obviously elevated that program to, new heights from where they were before he was there, because they were pretty bad before he was there, and now they're pretty good. But he hasn't really won anything. There was this controversy about the sign stealing stuff and all that on the sideline. I don't know how much he has to do with that. I think I would give him a shot. I think I would give him a shot, honestly. I would give him a shot definitely before I gave Bill Belichick a shot. And let me tell you why. Because Bill Belichick, the only times that he really won with the Patriots was with Tom Brady. And then when Tom Brady leaves, he hasn't really done much. I mean, we saw a little bit of success with Mac Jones. I mean, they beat the Chargers. That game was really bad too. But Bill Belichick, his coaching tree, once those guys leave Bill Belichick, they haven't done really anything outside of him, outside of the Patriots. And Bill Belichick, he's not really done anything outside of Tom Brady. So I go back and I look at the root of what all of that success was with the Patriots, and I'm like, I kind of think it was Tom Brady, especially because after he left, he went and won a Super Bowl with the Bucks, like really quickly. I mean, he turned that team around so quickly with Bruce Arians, who obviously I think he's a good head coach as well. But if you look at Bill Belichick, people thought that guy was the greatest head coach of all time. Doo-doo with the Browns too. He was. People forget that he was with the Browns for I think his first 2 or 3 seasons, and they got traded to the Patriots. He just was not a good head coach outside of Tom Brady, and I think that, as well as just kind of his brand of football. He's really defensive. I mean, this is the kind of guy who's going to punt on every freaking 4th down. Are we ready for that? I know that we had Brandon Staley who goes for it a little bit too much, but are we ready for a guy who punts more than Mike McCoy? I don't want to see that again, man. It's just Bill Belichick's his scheme, his game plan, the way he operates. Does that still succeed in the NFL? I don't know. And if the Patriots are willing to fire him after everything that he has done, if they're getting rid of him after this season, to me that says the Patriots aren't even sure if his brand of football will succeed from here on out in today's NFL. Ay, man. Frank Reich. Do we go back to Frank Reich? Is that what we do now? Is that the position we're in? We're going back to Frank Reich. That dude was the scapegoat a couple years ago for this offense. I don't know, man. Do we even go with another coordinator? If we go with a coordinator and someone that we kind of go back to, why don't we look at Frank Smith, the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator? I think the Dolphins offense has looked pretty good this year. Frank Smith was, I believe, the running game coordinator for the Chargers a couple years ago. And as soon as he left, this offense kind of went down. I forgot what year exactly. I think it was 2021 that he left. But he's a pretty good head coach. You look at what he's doing with the Dolphins right now and with Tua. Man. Tua also, he doesn't look that great without Tyreek Hill. But that's a conversation for another story. I think that Miami Dolphins offense, their scheme and the way they run things, they have the speedy wide receivers like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Braxton Berrios. They have them close to the line of scrimmage. And then Tua just sends him out right before they snap that ball. And you get him a nice running head start, man. We didn't see that a lot before the Miami Dolphins started doing that against the Chargers in week 1. Now you see it all over the league, man. That's like Sean McVay kind of style of like innovation and how quickly the league picks up on that and everyone starts to imitate that style. Ben Johnson, yes. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions. I like what the Lions are doing right now, but listen, is Ben Johnson a better candidate for head coach next year over a guy like Jim Harbaugh? Because I don't think we're going to find the perfect head coach for next year. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It's tough to find a good head coach, man. That's why the Chargers have not done it since Marty Schottenheimer, which was like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago. I was a wee lad. I was a young child. Oh my God. So literally the entire time that I've been like, I've had, common sense, I guess. The Chargers have been a bad football team, but we had some good years with Philip Rivers. I'll give us that. But Jim Harbaugh has had his issues with some controversy here and there, but he looked really good with the 49ers. I would be willing to say, you know what? I liked what he did with the 49ers so much that I would give him a second shot, especially with Justin Herbert, because oh my God. And you know what another thing is too? Justin Herbert is going to go on like his 9th offensive coordinator after this season once Brandon Staley gets fired. And Kellen Moore is obviously not going to be retained for the next coaching staff because Kellen Moore, what a disappointment that was, man. I was on YouTube. I made a bunch of videos on YouTube about how this offense is going to elevate with Kellen Moore. And I had some Cowboys fans in those comments telling me, no, you're wrong, dude. He runs the ball way too much, and he has way too many curl routes, and then he throws the ball deep on 3rd down when all you need is 5 yards, and he throws it 50 freaking yards. And what are we seeing now from this Chargers offense? They run the ball too much. They have a lot of hook routes, a lot of curl routes. Even today, like that Jack Jones interception that Easton Stick threw, that was... My bolt shrunk, but bro, that was sick. I'm going to be honest, that was sick. And the reason why Jack Jones was able to get the jump on that is because all of this short stuff that the Chargers were running. All those screen passes, the little hook routes. That's why Gerald Everett was fed the ball more than anybody, because that's what Gerald Everett runs in this offense when he's not doing a play action crosser over the middle of the field or something like that. But you didn't get the running game going, so you're not going to call play action. And Easton Stick, how good is he out in bootleg? Not as good as Justin Herbert. Do you trust him to throw a ball over a linebacker? I don't think you do. Jim Harbaugh isn't leaving Michigan. There were reports that Jim Harbaugh would only leave like if he got, I think, like $11 million a year or something like that. He wanted like a crazy contract in order to leave Michigan. So that is true. Jim Harbaugh, does he even take this job? I think if you offer Jim Harbaugh a lot of money and you say, look, man, we got Justin Herbert, maybe he takes this job. But does Dean Spanos even offer a lot of money to Jim Harbaugh? That's the thing too. Then we might be stuck with these coordinators again still. And man, I also like what Dan Quinn has done with the Cowboys defense. He's the defensive coordinator in the Cowboys. But do you go back to this Cowboys Mike McCarthy coaching tree after what Kellen Moore has done? I mean, I don't know. There's so many questions that we just don't know. I mean, look at what we don't know already. Like this game, there were 84 points scored in this game. How many of you guys had just like a 10-3 or a 6-0, 9-6 game? No one thought that these teams were going to score points, and that's all that we saw in this game. So the NFL is just, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on, man. We all just kind of take in a bunch of data, and we just do the best that we can with it to interpret what might happen. But really, any given Sunday, bro, any given Thursday, anything can happen. And we fell victim to it on this game for sure. If Justin Herbert was playing, I mean, do you guys even think this game would have been very much of a different outcome? Because the Chargers kept fumbling the ball. There were like 3 fumbles really early in this game, and the defense was playing terrible. It just felt like one of those games where the Chargers were not going to get out of their own way no matter what. And listen, shout out to the Raiders, because the Raiders, they took advantage. Like, they had some guys playing well. Jakobi Meyers was 2 for 2, threw a touchdown, bro. The Raiders were throwing so well against this defense that Jakobi Meyers put up like a perfect passer rating, bro. 131.3 passer rating, and he threw a touchdown with 2 attempts. That's a wide receiver. Bro, this makes me nauseous. This makes me nauseous as a Chargers fan. Aidan O'Connell threw 4 touchdowns in this game. Brandon Bolden, did you guys even know this dude was in the league still? Because I didn't even know he was on this team. I'm just going to be honest with you. 2 attempts, and he got a touchdown. Zamir White got a touchdown. Josh Jacobs, their all-pro running back, was not playing in this game. He wasn't even playing. Oh, my gosh. Michael Mayer looked good. Davante Adams looked pretty good. His second 100 yards receiving game. in this entire season. It was against us. Oh my gosh. This Chargers defense, I don't think really anyone had a great game. Like Khalil Mack and where's Tuipulotu? He didn't even notch a single tackle in this game. Khalil Mack and Tuipulotu did not even play for, I think, most of the second half. Those were the only guys that the Chargers pulled in this game, by the way. Khalil Mack and Tuipulotu. So if you want to find out what the Chargers staff thinks of this defense, look at who they did not rest once this game was well out of hand. They didn't rest Derwin James. They didn't rest Alohi Gilman. Didn't rest Michael Davis. Didn't rest anybody. Asante Samuel Jr. was still out there. None of these guys were rested except Khalil Mack and Tuipulotu. And those guys, those are the only guys on this team, man, that were actually playing with passion throughout the entire season. I mean, obviously in this game you could say, I don't know. Khalil Mack, though, I think he actually played pretty well. Tuipulotu, I would have to go back and look at the film because, like, he didn't even notch a single tackle in this game. And the only play that I can specifically remember of him is where he held the edge pretty well and forced the running back to go a different direction. But then the running back went the other direction and got like 4 or 5 yards. Really wasn't a lot of good in this game. But again, like Josh Palmer was good. Quentin Johnson, you threw him the ball a couple times. I liked seeing that. I always want to see my man play well, Quentin Johnson. I'm still going to root for him no matter what, whether it was a good pick or a bad pick. Someone said poop. Yeah, poop. Yep. Troy Bradley, 7, poop. For sure. Everything about this game. That I should have just came on this live stream and just said poop. Because that's what this was. But, okay, it looks like everyone in the chat, or a couple people in the chat, think Jim Harbaugh is not going to leave Michigan. So let's say this. If Jim Harbaugh, that's the guy that we want, right? That's the guy that I kind of am leaning towards right now. If Jim Harbaugh does not leave Michigan, then who do we hire as a coach that we can say for sure, okay, he's probably better than Brandon Staley? We talked about Ben Johnson. I mentioned Dan Quinn. I mentioned Frank Smith. Bill Belichick is going to be fired. That's what the reports are. Oh my gosh. Who else? Mike Tomlin might be fired, but I don't even know if Mike Tomlin is going to leave the Steelers organization. I feel like it would be a huge mistake if they fired Mike Tomlin because that dude is legit. If Mike Tomlin is available, that's the guy you go for. You give $10 million a year to Mike Tomlin, 100%. It was a complete meltdown all across the board. Yeah, Troy. It was a literal meltdown. This was the worst game that I have ever been through as a Chargers fan. All you guys in the chat, man, y'all are real ones for tuning in for this Bleacher Report live stream. Literally, straight up. That was as bad as it gets, and you're still here. You're a real Chargers fan. We're all real Chargers fan right here. This is just the real Chargers fan group. 63-21. Raiders scored the most points in freaking franchise history. I think we gave up the most points in franchise history as well. Stevie Wonder is better than Brandon Staley. Hey, listen, man. Jay Lewis, I think Stevie Wonder would be able to see what's wrong with this defense more than Brandon Staley would. So I think you're on to something. He might actually be a better head coach than Brandon Staley. Would the Chargers go out there and play more for Stevie Wonder if he was the head coach over Brandon Staley? There's an argument to be had. There's an argument to be had right there because I would go out there and play for Stevie Wonder for sure. More than Brandon Staley, bro. I was on here on this live stream on Monday. Someone said that he wanted to be a water boy for the team because that's how much we love this team. We want to go out there and be a water boy. I'll be a water boy if you fire Brandon Staley. I'll do it for free, man. Me and the other guy, I think his name was Bolt Gang 7. We would both be water boys for you if we had a new coaching staff. Just the root of all these problems, it just goes to the front office and it goes to the coaching staff, man. We need to fire both of these guys. And I went on my video that I just uploaded on my YouTube channel. I talked about how Tom Telesco is likely to be fired after this year because that is what Benjamin Albright reported. Tom Telesco is likely to go. Brandon Staley is imminent to leave. So who do you hire at GM? Because you got to hire a general manager first. I don't even know. I don't even know what goes on in the front office, so I can't even evaluate talent. That's part of the problem. I know that Ron Wolf was a big person in the room for the Chargers when they were going for Tom Telesco, I think. Is that right? Or was Ron Wolf after Tom Telesco? I know that he was involved in player personnel and scouting and all that stuff. But man, we need a new general manager. And then once we hire a new general manager, then we're going to be in a better position to see who we're actually going to have as head coach. Because now really all we can do is speculate, man. Staley will be managing a car wash this Sunday, Ray says. Can Brandon Staley manage a car wash? Can he? You're giving him a lot of credit right now. I've been a fan since the Fouts Coryell era, and this hurts, and it's embarrassing. Yeah, this one hurts, and this is as bad as it gets, like I said. And we're still here. So, hey, it's only up from here, bro. Because 63 points against a divisional rival in Las Vegas, man, in the bright lights, this is prime time. And we still could not do anything. The Justin Herbert effect is so real on this team, and we saw how bad this team was without him. Listen, man, as much as I love the Chargers, I can acknowledge that this team, they're just not as good as we thought. Like, yeah, the coaching is bad, but this team, we just don't have a ton of talent on this team. Keenan Allen wasn't playing. I mean, Mike Williams might not even be here after this year. Joey Bosa might not even be here after this year. We saw Khalil Mack and Keenan Allen we've seen up for a lot of this year, but really, that's a lot of the talent that we talk about. And Derwin James was out there. He got burned by a rookie that I didn't even know his name going into this one. Trey Tucker burned Derwin James for a long touchdown. Maybe we can get Marvin Harrison Jr. That'd be 2 straight first-round picks for wide receivers. I mean, if you're in the position to draft a generational talent at wide receiver and Marvin Harrison Jr., I think you absolutely do that. But then what position are you putting Quentin Johnston in for his future? You're kind of, I don't know. I think the best bet is Brock Bowers at tight end because it's such an obvious fit for the Chargers. The hole is right there. We need a tight end. We also need offensive line help. Even after we've just given so much to this offensive line, we've invested some top tier assets, and it's still bad. It's still bad. That's why Justin Herbert wasn't even playing in this game because the offensive line was so bad. Oh my gosh. I'm over my limit with the Bleacher Report live stream again, bro. I'm sorry. But if I can sum this one up for you, poop, and we need a new head coach, and we need a new general manager. Thank you guys for tuning in, and it's been a real one. This season is over, but it's only up from here. That is the bright spot. It's only up from here, so stay bolted up no matter what. This is as bad as it gets.